Welcome to the tip off, hosted by your hosts Isaiah Winfree, Joshua Blakley, and Nicholas Hofmann. If you're watching this on Twitch, go ahead and hit us with that follow button. If you're on YouTube, hit us with a subscribe. Here to talk all things basketball. I think the most elephant in the room type of discussion is going to have to be our first one here. That's Josh Giddey. Isaiah, I know you got strong opinions. Let us hear them.
Not strong opinions, just reactions to the whole thing. Josh Giddey, for context, is the 21-year-old wing from Oklahoma City, originally from Australia, where things are a little bit different than they are here in the US of A. Very promising prospect, which is why this is such big news. He's got a girlfriend who's 15 years old. And that came out on Thanksgiving. Did it come out the day
Have
before
they confirmed the
Thanksgiving?
age yet? Have they confirmed the age yet?
No.
Still not?
Still just investigating. But
So 15 isn't incorrect. We'll roll with 15. Sells a little better that way.
Possibly 16.
Possibly
that
16.
doesn't
Even
change
if it-
anything for me. Yeah, it doesn't change
She's
anything for me.
studying for her driver's license test. Can't take it yet. She got the booklet. It came out the day before Thanksgiving, the day of Thanksgiving, through some social media posts made by the young lady, who I think has still yet to be named because she's literally a minor. And yeah, it seems like she's having consensual relations with an NBA player, and that's not as big of news as maybe it should be. Josh, how do you feel?
I mean, I'm definitely not of the stance of like wait and see. It is a little bit of confusing information just because there's a video of her and him at a club and she's drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So like, is she maybe older than that? All I know is in the photo she looks 12.
Yeah.
In the photo she looks 12. It seems to me that this might have been like a long-term thing that maybe started.
I think
when
that
she
makes it
was
worse,
younger,
right?
Which I don't know if it makes it worse. It's just still really bad.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
yeah.
he's either, straight robbing or
He's grooming. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Robbing.
both of them are really bad. And it's unfortunate for the Thunder, who's a team that really hasn't had any players that have had off-court issues like this. So it's just disappointing. I guess we'll wait and see for everything to be confirmed. But, I mean, it's looking pretty bad and it's gross. Like, there's not really an argument, and these aren't just like allegations. Like, there's photos, there's the videos, there's everything. So if she is underage and not the Oklahoma City or Australia age of 16, if she's just under 18, like, this is wrong. This is messed up.
I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't even know like what the punishment is for this. Like, is it a season? Is it just out of the league? I mean, I don't know.
Here's where this
gets handle this.
Here's where this gets really hairy, right? Because I've been thinking on this a lot since the weekend. A lot of people in my ear about the situation. The NBA is going to play the wait and see game, and that's disgusting, right?
Yeah.
But let's take a look at it here. As taboo and illegal as it is in the NBA, or in the USA, sorry, wrong acronym. As gross and illegal as 15 to 16 is, there is context where if it were to happen in specific circumstances, and because it is consensual and everybody seems to be happy, it's easy for people to sit back and say, who's getting hurt here? And I think that if the same league that took a 25-game suspension stance on a guy flashing a gun on the internet for his effect on the youth, especially in a city like Memphis, I think that same league needs to take a very similar stance against something that somebody is doing that's very replicable in the city where he plays. I'm not saying that Oklahoma City, but if they're no, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. The way that we don't want Josh showing kids how to play with guns in Memphis is the same thing that we don't want Josh Giddey showing 20-somethings that they can do to teenage girls in Oklahoma if they make enough money.
I think this is even worse, right? This is even worse than
For
John.
sure.
Like, I hate, like, if we're gonna excuse the age difference between Josh Giddey, if the NBA is gonna wait and see with the age difference between Josh Giddey and his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, the age difference between him and Ja is even smaller, right? It's only 2 years. They didn't play no wait and see with Ja.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA
Well,
broke the news themselves, pretty much. Other NBA people, you know what I mean? This came out through Instagram and Twitter first.
I think the only thing that the NBA, well, I'm hoping the only thing that the NBA is waiting and seeing on is just getting their facts straight, like making sure and confirming that.
I thought
you know,
about that too.
You know what I mean?
And
Because
they're trying to make sure they can do it as much by the book as possible, to where Josh
Exactly.
Giddey and his representation
Mhm.
can't say
it
or
can't
find a
appeal
loophole.
it, can't. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So I'm hoping that's what it is. Like they're trying
But to do that, they would also be doing it to make sure he doesn't get paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And dude, that would be the only reason to go about it that way. That'd be the only reason why they would find a way through it. Because at the end of the day, they could say you're not on the team. It's just the money aspect of the dotted lines, right? If they're
Mhm.
looking to do it that way, have they ever done something like that? They didn't do it for Karl Malone. They didn't do it for a few other players.
There
Look,
wasn't internet for Karl Malone.
Yeah,
I hear you. I hear you,
yeah.
but it's also already died down.
Yeah,
It has.
it just so happened.
And they've already let him play. If they were going to do something so big, they wouldn't have let him play
Yeah.
so easily. They would have said, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and give you, like, not even a suspension. They would have been like, you should take a break for a second, this and that." They would have had it through the team.
Mhm.
No, nothing. And the Thunder themselves have said it. The head coach said it's a personal matter. What
Mhm.
is this? Like, what has the world become? We're excusing anybody over the age of 21 to be with anybody under the age of 18, regardless. Look, if he was like 19 and she was 17, I'd be like, okay, possibly.
Yeah.
Right? As messed up as that is,
because
they're within it. They could have went to high school together.
Exactly.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But he's 21, and at best, she's 16. They're talking about this is a long. This was not recent, or if it was recent, this was an overtime thing. This was his girl, right? He said it
Yeah.
himself. You know what I'm saying? We've seen the picture. I don't even care if the caption was put there later on. We know what the picture was from.
yeah,
Like, come on, what is with the NBA and with this kind of stuff? We have the young guys with no vets always doing this, and yet the NBA has yet to be like, all right, maybe instead of just coming at the players all the time, they should come at this one, but they won't because he's not the black one. They're gonna. That was too far, but it's the
No,
simple point.
I think that's right on the money. Also,
It's just a simple point to me that they're like allowing all these young players to continually fall into these traps of being unaware of how to handle the spotlight and handle the money, and they don't put the right people around them. I don't get why, as an organization, as a company of the NBA, they're not thinking these players who are worth millions to us, who we pay millions, we need to put people around. It doesn't make sense. You're telling me nobody in the Thunder knew about this? Come on.
You know what's crazy? I know y'all hate how often I bring up football on our exclusively basketball podcast. But it's amazing to me that the NBA doesn't have a like rookie program in place the way that the NFL does. And I guess the NFL has to because it's a 55-man roster. So you're going to have a lot more rookies who need to make correct life choices. But they sit those guys down and teach them about their money and how they need to handle that. They teach them about their social settings, who to be around and who not to be around, understanding who you can and can't bring with you places. They teach them how to be on the field and off the field and what it means to wear a team on the front of your shirt. And in the NFL, they do that. And as crazy as the NFL is, you don't hear as many stories as you would think per however many people there are on those teams. And it happens a lot more often with the NBA where there's a lot less athletes taking up roster slots.
I agree with you, but I think also I agree with you, but I also think that's a kind of a separate thing because by giving that in this situation, it's kind of giving Josh Giddey a little leeway, and he deserves none.
Oh, for sure.
So I mean, that's just my take on it. If we got anything different, we can move. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just curious. So hypothetically, say she's 15 and they prove it and they can, cross all their T's and dot their I's. What's the punishment? Because I mean, we just saw Miles Bridges come back after 10 games, and the
Yeah.
Hornets fans give him a standing freaking ovation. A guy who is
He
beat
did
the
get
mother-
found
You don't have a
not
lot of
guilty.
things to
He
cheer
got
for
found
in
not
Charlotte,
guilty,
though.
though. He got found not guilty in court, and that's the difference. This isn't a legal matter, and that's the difference.
The first time he pled no contest.
Okay, well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
But I think that's the second one they look. I agree. I also think that Miles Bridges doesn't. I'm not going to be the guy that says you don't deserve a job, but I think after this Giddey thing, you have to say it at some point, right?
they need
And
to
the
start
Draymond
making
thing was not
examples
enough. Like some people were doing
out of
it for
players.
Draymond. I disagree. But Giddey, I don't think he does. If they prove she's 15, they prove she's 16. In my eyes, he does not deserve a job. It's in, and she lives in California, the same county my mother was born in. The age of consent there is 17, and I don't even agree with that. But you get my point. It's not even legal there.
What's wild to me about the way that this is going and how we all feel so passionately about it, and it seems like everybody understands the correct stance to take on it. I think that this is going to look a lot like, not that these are the same, but the way that like internet gangsters feel when rappers get caught up with the law and then they cooperate to make their life easier. Gunna still has a career, right? Why does Gunna still have a career? Because the people who actually matter and the people who are making decisions don't care the same way the people behind keyboards do, the way that we do. And in that same vein, man, even though there was no internet, like Karl Malone did get away with what he did for a while. The NBA still counts Karl Malone in their top 75.
They just gave him a standing ovation last year. Yeah,
Karl Malone is still in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Not even just the NBA, but the great sport of basketball.
NBA 2K put out a challenge to get the Karl Malone last year during the All-Star break when they gave him the standing ovation, and the challenge was get 13 rebounds. That's how much the community is aware of it.
That's wild. That's disgusting.
And it's just like accepting of it. And it's just
and that's to make the point. The NBA community just accepts it at some point. And I don't think, and you're right. That's probably what's going to happen here. But it sucks. And I feel like at least in real time, people are able to say that should not happen. Because in 2 years from now, it's going to be less of a conversation. We'll still feel a way about Giddey, but it's not going to be a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like the most likely course of action that this takes, and not the one that I wanted to, but they're going to come up with, well, we don't have enough evidence to prove this, that, and the other thing. And, we're basically moving on. If they come out and say that, they might be investigating for 2 to 3 months and this just fades away. And, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I really am sick of it. It's something's got to be done.
Are you sick of the situation being up in the air, or are you just sick of the situation being here at all, like in general?
Well, I'm sick of it not being handled.
Yeah.
Like it not being addressed. And it's just like, oh, well, we're basically going to let him get away with it. And, same with the Miles Bridges thing. And I mean, with that, it's like, I don't even know what's worse. I don't know how to compare, statutory dating to violence. I want to say Bridges' case is worse because his kids were in the back seat. So children are involved.
But this one is kids.
In Josh Giddey's case, there's also children involved. So I don't really know how to pick which one is worse out of those two. But something's got to get done. They need to just make examples of these guys. And
exactly. You made an example of John Morant. Everyone said when it happened, it wasn't enough. And now everyone is saying something should happen here. It probably won't, but they need to make more. You're right. They need to make more examples. The John Morant example wasn't enough. We need more.
Because I do think if we set a couple or a few hard examples, we start to see a change in the culture, and maybe those guys take it more seriously and don't get caught up in this crap.
I agree.
I don't want to keep bringing up the NFL, right? But Ray Rice got caught hitting a woman 3 times on camera and got banned for life from the NFL in his physical prime. Do you know how many NFL wives are getting beat up like that? Not that many. It's a lot less than it was. The NBA needs to be on that type of timing.
Yep.
Miles Bridges, see ya. Josh Giddey, see ya. The way that the talent pool is growing and growing and growing, and kids are just getting better and better at basketball, and the G League is getting deeper and deeper, and now we're dropping the age of people that are allowed in the league. Like that.
Yeah.
It's
not the people out of
hot.
it's not the people out of the talent pool that we're having these conversations about.
It's
people that are in
the league has enough talent. The league has enough talent where they're talking about expansion and things like that. So we have enough talent to get rid of these guys. I don't care. Like, I don't care. The league will go on. The league will move on. Everybody thought the league was going to die.
Cute.
Do we have enough talent?
100%.
But hear me here. Hear me. Just hear me, right? We're 3-4 years away from no Curry, probably no LeBron, no KD, no Chris Paul, end of whatever Kawhi, probably no PG. List goes on, right? And then we're talking about just send them out, right? And every one of those players that would have been sent out over the last 2 to 3 years, but just 2, right, would be Josh Giddey, Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Miles Bridges. And I'm sure Jalen Brunson had the thing. There's many players that we're like, we need to make the example of. There'd be so many.
Zion was just sleeping around.
Zion should have had some NDA signed and got embarrassed on the internet because he was being messy.
Having consensual relationships with multiple adults and got called out.
I'm just talking about people. We're talking about people that get caught up in stuff. Zion, I guess the charge was them inflicting it on him.
Yeah,
I mean,
are you mad at him for being a victim?
He's just.
Is he really that much of it? I mean, come on.
I mean, look, cheating on your significant other is bad, but that's not anywhere near a statutory relationship or violence against women.
We just got to choose the right ones.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think it's all about how you carry yourself around the situation too. Like Tiger Woods was at the peak of his game, going major after major after major, setting all these records, chasing down the greats, cheats on his woman, gets caught, breaks his back. And he's still got welcomed back to the PGA with open arms because in as classy and as bougie as a sport as golf, something as ratchet and ghetto as cheating on your, not going into all that, cheating on your woman, getting in a car crash, right? All of that, they still let him come back. And I think that there are ways to come back with grace from things like this, from anything really. Not that everything can be forgiven, but I think if they set the right examples and show people what it means to be an NBA player, it'll be a lot more black and white on how you get these things handled.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the gray.
On to the next one. To kind of intro this topic here, I have a quote. I want to see your guys' opinion on it. I don't have the exact word-for-word quote, but the basis of it is Tyler Halliburton says, whoever wins the in-season tournament should have an automatic playoff spot.
No.
How are we feeling?
No. That's stupid. Win more games in the regular season.
Okay. All right.
It's stupid.
I feel you, right? Because what if a team wins that and then coasts?
Yep.
For the whole season, right? Giving guys minutes that don't even belong
That's exactly
in the locker
what would
room.
happen. Yeah.
I think as long as they enforce the rules about you have to play guys that you pay X amount of games, and force that to not be an issue, because you can't be in the NBA and not compete every single time that those lights are on, right? There's no way that your stars are on the floor because they legally have to be, and they're not playing to win to make it worth their time. So I think the good teams could win and still just secure a playoff spot. It could really help with teams that should be contending but get injured a lot. I don't hate the idea. I don't know if I'm like all the way for it, but I know I don't hate it.
I hate it.
I hate it too. I think the only way that it would happen is if it ended later than it does. Because it would definitely, if you get a playoff spot out of it, it would definitely make it more of a serious thing for teams, right? They would definitely play a lot harder, which they already are playing very hard. Because the money is already one thing. That's a lot of money for 90% of a team, 75% of a team. So I think they're already taking a week off for it. So I think if you make it back-to-back weeks with that and the All-Star game, there's a possibility that ending around there would be fine to give a playoff spot, but I don't like the idea still. I'm not a fan.
Let's also think about who it's coming from. It's coming from a guy on a young team that knows this isn't going to last 82 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
part
I
of
think
the
it
whole,
might.
Part of the whole NBA is the grind. It's playing without your stars. It's getting through the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys. This is too gimmicky to me. Like, I don't know. No.
I hear you. Let's go ahead and talk about the in-season tournament here. We got West Group A locked in already is the Lakers. They're 4-0. The Suns are a wild card factor. Again, the wild cards are the top 2 teams in each conference that do not make it out of their group record-wise, and not season record-wise, but in-season tournament record-wise. So a wild card factor in that division is the Suns as well. The Lakers swept it. And they're not looking too good in some of these other regular season games, but they're looking good in every single one of these. Is that the LeBron? I only want to play in competitive games, and my team will only want to play then. Or
I should have worn a different jersey because it was.
I think it's more just the competition. When you look at who they played so far: Utah, Portland, Memphis, and an injured Phoenix team.
You are correct. You are correct. I agree with that.
I think that's a big part of it.
Anthony Davis has bought out in a lot of these. You have to give it to Reeves. I know it hasn't been for much of these in-season tournament games, but I mean, since then, coming off the bench has been nice for him, except for today when they lost to Phoenix really badly. But I really like the Lakers in there. The Suns look good, and they might make the wild card in the West, and I kind of want them to. Devin Booker looks amazing. KD and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker all trade off injuries. It's fun to watch. But any thoughts on West A before we move on to the next one?
No, not really.
So
I still want to see Booker and Beal play together.
You got it. What did they say? Minimum 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks.
Yeah.
So that's minimum. We know how that goes. West Group B. The top 2 teams right now are the Pelicans and the Rockets. Pelicans 3-1. They played all their games. Rockets get 1 more. They're 2-1. If the Rockets win this next one, they do automatically win their group.
Because they beat the Pels.
Yeah, I think it's point differential is what it is now.
Well, if they beat the Mavericks by 2, their point differential is lower than the Pelicans, but they have the tiebreaker because they beat them.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know exactly. I just on NBA.com they said if the Rockets win, they automatically win theirs.
That's what I'm saying. The tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think the tiebreaker is point differential, isn't it?
Well, it could be, but they've already played each other, so their literal tiebreaker. The reason that the Pelicans have a loss is the Rockets.
No, it's not against each other. I don't know.
The Pelicans are done. The
tiebreaker
right
rules
here,
are
the Pelicans aren't done. If the Rockets lose, they make it.
Yeah, if the Rockets lose, the Pelicans make it because they're head and shoulders the winners. And if the Rockets win, they're tied with the Pelicans, but they beat the Pelicans already, so they are 1A.
That does put Pelicans potentially in the wild card as well, if the Rockets make it. And I think that could be a sleeper team.
Oh,
yeah, the 3-1. That could be a sleeper team for the tournament. They've been having some highs whenever they play together. Zion had that really nice 30-piece game. Any of these teams in this group you guys think could actually win it with the 2 teams, the Pelicans and the Rockets?
I like the fact that all of this is single elimination after the round robin. Because it makes us feel the way we feel when we watch college hoops, and that's every game matters.
Yeah.
There's no series. There's no we'll catch you on the back end when we get home court advantage. It's then and there. You got 48 minutes to make history. And if either one of those young, hot teams can get into a position to play these single elimination games, I have the inclination to say that they are just as likely as anybody else to win it because that's what happens in single elimination.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Yep. And speaking of young teams, West C has the most likely the most teams that are likely to come out of one entire thing. That being said, if the Kings win their next game, they automatically make it for going 4-0. Kings are 3-0. Wolves are 2-1. Warriors are 2-1. All of those also have a chance to be wild card.
But that's the thing, though, right? Let's say the Timberwolves win. Let's say the Warriors win. Let's say the Rockets win, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams all tied at 3-1.
Yeah, I think it's point differential is what it is.
Yeah. But like it's tight, is what I'm.
No.
saying.
West is tight. Yeah, 100%. I'm just talking about every team that could be wild card. Not any of the teams that are not going to make it at all.
Have you guys enjoyed the trying to run up the score and stuff at the end? I think I actually enjoyed it.
They make it matter.
Yes.
And like as a classical basketball person, I felt like that's stupid. Like, I was like old
That's a
white
fun way
man
to say
about
white
it.
guy. I like classical basketball person. I'm digging it.
That's the PC term. Okay.
Yeah.
But the running it up at the end has actually been kind of fun. It's been funny to see players get mad about it. And then like in the post game, they get told like, yeah, the points matter. And they're like, oh, right. I think it was DeMar DeRozan just recently got annoyed about somebody dunking at the end of the game. They were like, the points, man, we need the points.
I don't know why he's mad. We're not going to get there anyways, but we'll talk about the Bulls later on. Any of these 3 teams that you guys think could win it all in this tournament? I think, me personally, I think if the Timberwolves make it out of here, they're my favorite in the entire thing to win the in-season tournament is the Timberwolves.
We know Cat will take it seriously.
They're on a hot streak right now. Even if they've lost some games, they still feel like they're playing very well. And this could potentially be the best they play throughout the season is how they've been playing here recently.
Yeah.
How you guys feeling about, you guys got the Kings or Warriors beating them in the entire Western Conference in this tournament?
I think if the Kings finish 4-0, that to me solidifies that they are hot and that these games matter to them, right?
Yeah.
Because it very well could have been just circumstance that they won the games they won. They did beat Minnesota. They are Minnesota's only loss. So looking at it, the Kings win, they go 4-0. I'm taking the Kings out of the West, even over the Lakers, just because they've had an easy road so far. But if Golden State wins, that means that all 3 of those teams.
No Curry. Is he still injured, right?
I think he's still injured, yeah. Let's say they win. All 3 of those, and provided Minnesota wins.
He'll probably be back by then.
All 3 of those teams can be 3-1. And when it comes to when they're all tied, and it's not the Kings being hot, I still want to take the Warriors, minus Curry, just because I'm not sold on the Timberwolves yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. He got some time to come back, Curry does. I don't got the Warriors winning this at all. I think they're so dysfunctional. I'd be surprised they even make it. Before we move from the West, I got to ask you guys one question about a certain player in the West here. How much does winning and being the MVP of the very first in-season tournament do for LeBron's legacy? Does it add anything?
I don't think it adds anything
because
besides
20 years from now, if we're still doing this, that's a huge achievement. That's a serious achievement.
The only reason we know Oscar Robertson's name in 2023 is because he averaged a triple-double. No disrespect to the legend. It's just time forgets a lot of people, right? And when you're the first guy to do something, that always matters. I don't think he loses anything, but he definitely gets something by being the guy to do it first.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to forget about LeBron the way Oscar Robertson gets left off. But I think the only thing it does is it just is kind of one of those like funny stats where it's like just showing LeBron's longevity, like, you know, how he's played against Jabari Smith and Jabari Smith Jr. Like, it's just one of those like weird, crazy things where it's like, yeah, LeBron at 38 years old.
He's older than a head coach in the league right now.
Yeah, it's like, I think it just adds a little bit of that. But as far as LeBron's legacy goes, I think that's pretty much cemented unless he goes absolutely insane in the playoffs and wins another finals. Then I feel like that's the only thing really that he can add to it.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I guess if the only thing you're competing with is MJ, winning this doesn't really change the MJ conversation.
Yeah.
I think it does help.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But fair. All right, guys, let's get to the East here. Pacers are locked in right now. They are but Cleveland's 2-1. They got another game. They can come out as a wild card. But they were 4-0, hot streak. I mean, the Pacers are a fast team, a very high offensive team. They looked like the only team to me though that played in these games how they played throughout the normal season. It doesn't feel like they took it any more serious. Like they went 4-0, but I think that's just because they're catching people by surprise right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think as just a young team, they're taking every game super serious, and especially with a coach like Rick Carlisle and a point guard like Halliburton. Statistically, they're the best offense in NBA history right now. That's probably won't last.
He has the best turnover ratio, right? In NBA history right now.
I do think that whoever ends up with the best offense this year is going to statistically have the best offense in history. That's just kind of the way it's lining up. I don't know if that's going to be
that's how it's been the last few years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, the Pacers look good. They play a really fun, high pace style and everything, but they're not a team that I'd pick to win in Vegas in the tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think they can catch anyone? No home court advantage?
I just don't think you're going to catch teams sleeping when we get to those bottom four teams. I mean, this kind of goes back to like when we talked about it during the show is I don't really think most of these teams are taking this any more seriously until we get to Vegas, and it's those last four. And I think that's when a team like Milwaukee or something like that is going to step it up one night, and they're going to show that the Pacers aren't even.
I want to agree with you so bad, but I've been saying that the teams with the guys who have been together for long are going to really hold it out. And every year, more and more of these young teams start to get in there, right? More and more. I think the pace, I don't know if there's many teams that have the personnel to guard what the Pacers are doing for 48 minutes. And I think that alone gives the Pacers a huge advantage because of the pace they play. I'm not saying it's going to be consistent throughout the year, but currently, as they're playing, as Halliburton is playing right now, right now he looks like a top. We've been talking about it for multiple weeks now. Is he a top 5 PG? Based on his play right now, he's top 3.
In single elimination, I tend not to like teams that don't play defense and can't play defense.
That's 100% fair.
Because if the shooting and the scoring isn't there, you can always fall back on the defense and try to grind it out. The Pacers, if the shooting and scoring isn't there, they're getting blown out by 35 points by pretty much anybody in the league. So,
it feels good, though, for a young team to go 4-0 in the in-season tournament. It must be, especially with their age. Let's go to East B here. We have the Bucks, who are 3-0, the Knicks 2-1, the Heat 2-1. They all have a game left. So a lot of those could be wild cards. A lot of those could make it in, depending on if the Bucks win, they automatically make it though. I mean, this is the teams we talk about it. We're going to be talking about for years to come in the last few years of teams with great players. The Heat 2-1 though. I'm not surprised that they're going to be trying to make their way into this. I don't know if the Knicks have a chance in this in-season tournament, and I don't know if the Bucks do either. I think the Bucks probably make it. But I don't know if the Bucks can win this. And Middleton is not Middleton. He's not Middleton of the past at all. Brook Lopez has happened to be their third best player. That's not going to be for very long. He's old. Damian Lillard is hit or miss some nights. Giannis is doing too much. Bobby Portis isn't an all-star. I don't know if they can win a tournament. I don't know if they beat the 76ers. And shoot, their defense says they do not beat the Pacers.
Well, yeah. That's what I was just about to say is, I mean, going back to that point about defense, I mean, we've seen the Bucks go from a top 3 defense and a 20-ish so offense, and that has flipped with Dame. And I don't love that. I don't. I still think it can get better over time, but just strictly speaking about the in-season tournament, I wouldn't love the Bucks out of it. I would be more looking at a team like the Kings that are going to be high scoring, but also can play
Yeah.
some type of defense.
This would be the thing that would make the Bucks. This to me right now is going to make the Bucks for the offseason. It's going to make a few teams for me that make this in-season tournament, that make the group play in person, that make the play in person, right? In Vegas. It's going to make or break their postseason for me, because based on how a team loses, like based on how the Bucks lose this in person, because they're probably going to make it. I'm willing to bet money right now that the Bucks make it. Right, they're 3-0. Based on how the Bucks play there together, or if they still have all these horrible faults, it's gonna affect chemistry. And if they come out winning, if they win this, I think it just propels them even further into having a good start to start the playoffs and really start to push some of their woes with their offense and defense to the side. I could be tripping, but I think it's going to make or break a few teams here. Not so much the Lakers. They don't really care. The Suns come out and win this. What does that mean for the Suns, who have been just injured all season? They're more confident than ever. And we've seen what confidence does for teams. Look at the Heat. You know what I mean? Am I tripping here?
No, I agree, and I think that especially with the Bucks, if they lose this game and then they make it to the final 8 and then lose again, I think the Bucks implode this season. I think I speed up my Damian Lillard doesn't work take.
They got 3 seasons for me before they do that.
There's no way.
They call me the prophet for a reason, dog.
I think it slowed down. I think it might not slow down. They could definitely come out of that and be even more together and more determined to win. But I could also see it. It's a lot more likely that they also could come out of that and be down on themselves, be down on the situation, start looking for trades instead of looking for a solution within their play.
Could you imagine a 35-year-old Brook Lopez walking into the locker room with an energy that says, I'm the second best person on this team, and nobody can really tell him he's wrong because the numbers back it up and efficiency would back it up? Like, you don't think that would be terrible for their team?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm not saying he's the type of guy to do that.
All this, we're talking all of this about the Bucks, but they're still the second best record in the East. Or are they third now? Because the Sixers just won. But they're up. I mean, but they're still winning so much. They're still winning games.
They're tied with Orlando.
But Orlando's hot.
Yeah, they are.
And the Bucks are looking not good, and yet they're still up there. That's what makes me worry less than a lot of other teams, because I'm like, you guys are still winning. What do you have to figure out more to make yourself even better? All you have to do is figure out a few things. You don't even figure it all out. You got seasons together. Yeah. But that being said, Knicks, Heat, anybody seeing them doing anything in this?
I think the Heat, like you said, if they roll into this, because East B is a lot like West C, where if the ball bounces the right way, there are 3-1 teams. And if the Heat end up being that team that comes out of there and it takes that group, I don't see any reason for the Heat to slow down. They're not particularly injured. They love playing in games where it matters. They're a defensive-minded team. Who even cares, bro? Let's be honest.
They do. That's huge. That they have nobody on their team but him.
Tell him, Josh.
I don't care. Point for him. I have no faith in the Heat this season. I'll say it myself. The Heat are not making no noise in the playoffs this season. They do not have nearly as much depth as they have. Look, they got a lot of these guys that come out of YMCA, and Spoelstra turns them into and Spoelstra somehow turns them into like full-fledged NBA role players. It's crazy to me, right?
Yeah.
But they don't. What they had before, though, were guys who had like NBA experience and then turned into Spoelstra role players. They don't even got that now. So I don't got faith in them. I really don't. And their injury status, I don't think the Heat are making noise.
They're
not better than the Sixers. They're not beating the Sixers. I think the Sixers sweep them.
They should.
They're not beating the Celtics.
In a 7-game series?
Yeah.
You're saying in a 7-game series, you think the Miami Heat would get swept
by the Sixers? They probably lose 4-1 to the Celtics. They probably lose 4-2 to the Bucks just because the Bucks can't win a playoff series without losing 2 games.
I think you're crazy. crazy.
I
you're
also
crazy.
think that you're crazy.
Like we've watched the Heat be in what, like 3 of the 4
We-
or 3 of the 5
yeah,
last finals,
but
and
also
nobody ever picked them. No, they were never a favorite. They were never even a top 3 favorite any of those seasons.
they're not gonna look.
The
I
Heat
don't even
culture,
think
there's something
they
to
don't
it.
even make the conference finals this year.
Bam Adebayo looks like he's playing the best he's
They don't.
ever played.
They don't.
Hold on. Let's talk about it, right? Because
They don't
that
make the
means we
conference
need
finals.
4 teams. Actually,
The Magic
no,
beat
we
them
need-
in a playoff series.
Okay, come on.
They
Maybe.
do. You're
I
telling
think-
me, dude, how deep are the Heat? Tell me right now. Not deep at all.
They're not deep, but you play 7 guys in the playoffs.
yeah,
And the
That
Heat
didn't
would
work
have
for-
the best player on the floor, and we
The
know
games
what
that-
that
the
means
games-
in
that
the
matters.
the games that they won against the Celtics when they were beating them early, they were playing a lot of dudes. They had a lot of dudes working for them because that's how the Heat work. They don't
Mhm.
they don't just play these. They when guys are hitting like crazy, yeah, they get a lot of minutes. But the Heat are the type of team where they throw in a bunch of these type of shooters, a different type of players, and put them in these roles, and they just keep trying until something works. The Heat don't have those kind of plug and play guys that they had before. They don't have a Gabe Vincent who's going to help ball handle. Now they have to rely on Tyler Hero to do that, but he's been injured how many times? Kyle Lowry has some games where you forget that he is an NBA veteran, and then there's some games where you're like, okay, that's Kyle Lowry's still good. They're just too hit or miss for me for this to be consistent. And Bam's hot early, but Jimmy Butler is always this wait and see guy. Everyone knows now, and everyone's gotten better. The Heat, like we've said, are the only team that did not get better this offseason. They got worse.
Yeah.
They lost their
that's
guys
fair.
to bad contracts to the Lakers. Come on.
That's fair, but I still think you're crazy for saying the Magic take them in a 7-game series.
I think
with
they
Aaron
might.
Spoelstra.
I think
I
the
think-
Magic are too young, but I think the Celtics could get them in a 7-game series.
I think
the
the
Celtics-
Knicks,
to say that they can't.
the Knicks can take them.
Whoa.
Knicks beat them twice last year, and the Knicks had a worse team than they had this year, and the Heat had a better team than they have this year. The Knicks take them easy. The Bucks beat them. The Celtics beat them. The Sixers beat them. If the Pacers are still playing this like this in the offseason, they probably beat them.
But we know they won't be. We know
the Pacers won't be though. The
Pacers
Pacers won't even probably be there. But
8. I think the Pacers, when they cool off, are going to be a better version of the Cavaliers.
But I mean, it's just there.
Which is bad for the Cavs. Because
Yeah.
the Cavs should not be in that realm.
yeah.
But,
And I think the Cavs might beat them.
Whoa. All right. I think you have.
They have too many answers on the Cavs for Bam. That's number one.
Okay.
Defensively,
Matchups is a good point.
They
to
have
make.
matchups like galore against that team.
Mhm.
I'm not saying they sweep them, but they beat them.
I think you're smoking crack. I think Jimmy Butler solos the Cavaliers. I think Jimmy and
Solos.
Bam.
You're crazy.
I'm just saying, bro. That's how he operates. He gets 5. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just going to say
No.
before last year, all these plug and play guys weren't plug and play guys. And all of a sudden, the whole league is like, oh, Gabe Vincent's actually really good.
Mhm.
I've knocked on the Heat for too long, and they've made me look stupid too many times. There is something real with that team. I don't know. We'll see.
I also want to point out that we have to put a little respect on Spoelstra's name, and not just us, but the NBA community as a whole, right? He's only been a coach he was an assistant to Popovich. He lands in Miami around 2007, 2008, after Pat Riley gets out of there, right?
Mhm.
He gets LeBron. He wins 2 chips. He gets Jimmy
and
Butler.
Chris Bosh. Don't
Oh.
forget Chris Bosh. Let's respect on another all-star.
For sure. He gets those guys. He wins those chips. They fall off a little bit. They get Jimmy Butler. They're competitive.
And
again.
and Hall of Famer Ray Allen and
That's not
sharpshooter.
when I get to the point, you're gonna realize that you're just doing nothing right now. So we look at Spoelstra and we look at those championship rings and we're like, oh, that's a LeBron team. He's supposed to have that. And that's as far as we think about it. I think Spoelstra has been an elite level coach since he entered the league. And I think that's not something that we give the Heat enough of an edge on, because that's why these guys who were swimming at YMCA on Thursday are now in Miami shooting jump shots with Jimmy Butler on a Saturday.
I agree he's elite, but he's also getting out-coached some games and going 7-game series with guys who have just 1 year or 2 years of experience coaching, like on the Celtics. Like this guy, this
The
guy
Celtics
is
roster is historic.
regardless. All of a sudden, the Heat's roster is historic, making historic runs.
I
Regardless,
can't hear you. You not making noise or
I'm talking. You hear me, Josh?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. He hears me.
okay?
So, I mean, it's regardless of the point is that there's younger coaches who are doing the same thing he is. He hasn't won with this roster yet. I'm not saying he's not elite. He's elite, right? He's better than Doc Rivers. But Doc Rivers is another elite coach until it comes to the playoffs. Spoelstra is just the opposite.
Is
I
Doc
mean, what has it
Rivers really
done?
that good?
We're calling Doc Rivers elite?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna tell me
One
Celtics,
ring
Doc
with the
Rivers
big three?
Only one.
Okay, but
With
we're
only
giving
one.
we're giving two rings to Spoelstra with the better big three and a better supporting cast.
Because he's gotten worse teams to the finals.
And he hasn't made an ass of himself the same way that Doc
I
Rivers
know.
does again
First
and
of all,
again and
I
again.
did say that. I did start that by saying that he's better than Doc Rivers.
Mhm.
But you're gonna tell me that Doc Rivers wasn't an elite coach?
We are elbow dropping Doc Rivers off the top turnbuckle. He does not belong in the elite coach conversation.
If you were starting a franchise today, what coach in the league right now at their current age are you taking over Spoelstra? Because the only one you're making an argument for is Popovich, and he's too old.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's probably a few. I'd take.
There's a few.
Tibby, maybe.
No, I'm not
Tibbs?
taking
If you're-
Thibodeau. I'm
if
not
you're
taking
feeling-
Thibodeau. I don't know
I
why
like Tibby.
I
The
would
guy
not
who
take
runs
Thibodeau.
players out of the locker room.
No,
and players say they hate him.
I'd take. All of a sudden I don't remember names. I'd take Rockets coach any day.
Ime Udoka.
You're
Yeah.
Ime Udoka.
Yeah,
over
there's a
Eric
chance.
Spoelstra.
There's
As
a
a
chance I'd
prospect?
take. There's a chance I'd take Frank Vogel.
Okay.
There's a chance I'd take Ty Lue.
Okay, I'll give you Ty Lue.
There's a
I'll give
chance
you
I'd
Ty
take
Lue.
Steve Kerr.
Do you take a chance on a Budenholzer?
There's a chance I'd take no. Oh no, not
Because the
Budenholzer.
No
only reason he
adjustments,
lost-
bud.
There's a chance. There's a no.
brother
Okay,
died.
okay. I'll give you my real list. I'll give you my real list. Because I'm not saying Pop because Pop. He's
too old.
Yeah, we're taking Pop.
Yeah,
out.
so I'll
Yeah.
give you. I'll take Steve Kerr. I'll take Ty Lue. I'll take Mike Malone. I will actually take the Rockets coach. Yeah, I
Ime
will take
Udoka.
Ime Udoka. And I might take no, and I'll just take those four. I wasn't gonna say Celtics coach, but he's also like super young.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he's actually gonna be able to hold this up. So yeah, I'll take those four over Spoelstra.
Crazy.
I'm
I
just
think-
saying.
I mean,
I'm
I get
just
your,
saying.
I get it though. 'Cause,
I get
like,
Ty Lue. I
Yeah,
can see Ty
You
Lue.
don't think?
Ty
What about
Lue?
Steve Kerr? Steve Kerr's done more in
Those are
less
the
time.
only-
with Steph Curry.
In less time, he had LeBron. He's only ever done anything with LeBron. Only.
I think
That's
well, no,
not
he
true.
has
They've been to
Jimmy
3 of the
Butler
last
being
5
competitive
finals.
with the bums for
And
years
he has
now.
one
So we're
All-Star on his
so
team.
because Steph Curry hasn't left the team, now we're
Because
mad.
they
Well,
had-
no, that's we can't give
they
the
had the
reason. The reason
Go-
we're having
go
to say
ahead.
this for Spoelstra is because people look at the rings with LeBron and they're like, all right, that's as far as that goes. But we have evidence to show us otherwise because he is
I
taking
agree.
Jimmy
He's
Butler
an
and
elite
bums.
level coach. I
Steve
don't think
Kerr
he's
has
better than Kerr.
only been with Steph Curry, right? Now, I understand that Steve Kerr's basketball brain has been inside his skull since he played with Jordan. I will take Steve Kerr over Spoelstra because I think he has a lot to offer. Ty Lue, I think that's a coin flip for me, but I'm willing to put Spoelstra third. I
Not
can't
only
see
did
that-
Steve Kerr not have a player as good as LeBron, right?
he
I
had
won't
the
say that
best
Steph
team
Curry
in NBA history.
Yeah.
No, stop.
Yeah.
No, stop. Not only that, but besides just NBA history, that team, right? We're also talking about a guy who outcoached LeBron outside of just that team, who's beaten LeBron multiple times. Spoelstra's never done that. When he didn't have LeBron, did he even try? Did he even get a play against LeBron? No. And Kerr was every time.
But
With the
LeBron
greatest team in
did-
history.
The Heat
I-
made it to the
and the
finals,
best
lost to
shooter in
LeBron,
history.
and then have been to the
Steph-
finals since LeBron has been there. So
What
I
about-
think if we're going to
changed
say
the
that,
whole game.
Facts.
Steph Curry's in the same realm with LeBron.
Yeah.
But he changed the game because of whose offense? We're acting like he wasn't running Kerr's offense the entire time. Are we really going to act like that?
He's the only guy you got to guard at half court. What are we? What are we
Yes, but
doing?
the Warriors are famously known for the style of play, and they didn't start playing that until Kerr didn't create it. But they didn't start playing that until Kerr came in and implemented it.
I think Steve Kerr ironed out Mark Jackson's systems because they
He
had a
did.
good coach with a good roster before Kerr got there. And then Kerr got there and they were immediately successful because he was exactly what they needed, but they still had to have the pieces for him to be the coach that he has to be. It's a lot like the Dallas Cowboys after they made all of those trades in the 90s, fired their coach, hired a new guy, and then he starts winning Super Bowls. There, you got to look at both sides of it. Steve Kerr stepped into a really good situation. Really, really good situation.
Sustained success. Look, the team that Spoelstra had was the first version of the team that Kerr had. That was just the better team.
And he won 2 rings.
Well, he won 4. He's won 4 in less time.
He had double
Right.
the amount of superstars.
In less time.
Let's not do
4.
this.
Double?
Double, yeah, double.
They had Shaq. He's had Shaq. He's had.
Bolstra's had Shaq.
Was he not? Oh, did he go to Cleveland
He
by
was in
2007?
Shaq was gone. I think.
Was he in
Shaq was-
Cleveland in 2007? Not Cleveland. Yeah,
well, no,
Cleveland.
He goes to Cleveland 07,
He goes to the Suns, then
Phoenix
Cleveland.
08, and then Boston
Was
to
it-
retire or something
Was it
like
Phoenix
that.
after Cleveland?
Bro, dude was on a carousel after he left. the
Yeah.
Heat.
After the Heat, he was just everywhere.
Yeah, so Spoelstra had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and Scrubs. Not Scrubs role players.
Scrubs.
But
Significant. Oh,
and
first of all,
Ray Allen
the
for a
Heat
season.
team, the Heat team that won, especially the second year, was a god squad.
you gonna say Shane Battier is on the God Squad?
Yes, was Shea
You gonna
Battier?
take Mike
Was Shea
Miller
Battier?
and put him
was
on the
Shea
God Squad?
when Mike Miller is the 12th man? Yeah,
He was getting rotation minutes.
he was
You
getting
want
rotation
Mario
minutes when he was
Chalmers on the floor
big.
for the God Squad?
Just like every Spoelstra team, the 11th man comes in and gets rotation minutes when they're big. Are we gonna forget that Mike Miller was on the God Squad because it's a Spoelstra team.
We're taking Norris Cole on the God Squad.
We're gonna act like Norris Cole wasn't playing like one of the top 5 rookies.
Norris Cole
In the
looked
playoffs?
good because he was surrounded by Hall of Famers.
I agree, but we're still not gonna pretend like he wasn't
Ray
popping.
Allen is like, let's go 1 for 1 here, right?
Ray Allen is why they won.
Steph Curry, LeBron James, that's a wash because LeBron is the greatest of this generation. Steph Curry is
It's
the
a
greatest
wash.
point guard of this generation.
No,
for
LeBron
sure.
wins it by 1,000,000.
Dwayne Wade, Klay Thompson, right? Perfect number 2 guy to their other half.
No, if you say anything
Good
other than
defender.
Dwayne Wade, you're
Dwayne
crazy.
Wade is better of the 2, but you have to acknowledge that they are a perfect pair and they're both still Hall of Famers. Here's where things get spicy, right? Chris Bosh was just a stretch. He was a good stretch, but he was just a stretch. He was Black Kevin Love. Kevin Love just shot the ball and rebounded. That's exactly what Chris Bosh did. I don't know how much I'm going to say that Chris Bosh was more important than a Draymond Green on the Warriors, right? So we're already starting to get to where the Warriors have
Lot
better
more
players, right? Let's go to number 4. We've got Ray Allen for Kevin Durant. Jake the Snake.
Incorrect. First of all, you've already disrespected Chris Bosh by trying to downplay how good Chris Bosh was. Like the man didn't guard Tim Duncan.
He played good defense. Yeah.
Oh, he played good defense. I thought all he did was rebound and shoot. He does way more than that. He also does. How many DHOs did they run with just Chris Bosh and LeBron?
Huh? How many what?
DHOs, dribble handoffs. Did they run
Okay,
with just
there we go.
Chris Bosh and LeBron? Besides the Celtics series, Chris Bosh was popping off in most of their runs. The Celtics series, that was bad. That
LeBron
was
did the
really
same thing
bad.
with Rashard Lewis. He's Rashard Lewis with
No,
defense.
that's so disrespectful. Beyond disrespectful.
He's Rashard Lewis
No.
with defense.
No, I can't
Rashard,
even take
you're
this serious
disrespecting
anymore.
Rashard Lewis.
Yeah, no.
You're tripping. That was a really good player, Rashard Lewis.
He's
And
not
LeBron
Chris
did
Bosh.
the same thing with Rashard Lewis, is what I'm saying. Is like when Chris Bosh was in Toronto, he was alone, surrounded by nobody, hitting mid-range jumpers, grabbing rebounds, doing the Kevin Love thing that Kevin Love did in Minnesota before LeBron got a hold of him. The same thing happened when LeBron got a hold of him. They stopped doing as much as they used to do and fell into a role player position because they were next to LeBron. And then after LeBron left, they were never as good as they used to be. Am I wrong in saying that Chris Bosh and Kevin Love are the exact same in that pattern?
First of all, when the Warriors were playing in their big 3, quote unquote, was really like a big 4 because people like to downplay Andre Iguodala. When Klay Thompson, and when KD joins, Klay Thompson doesn't just become a role player. right? Just because there's 2 star guys doesn't mean that the third is automatically a role player. Chris Bosh wasn't a role player on the Heat. He was their big 3. He was their all-star Chris Bosh.
When could you ever count on Chris Bosh to close out a game the way you could count on LeBron or Dwayne Wade? He wasn't on the same tier.
On the Heat, that's not his role. You don't count on Klay Thompson to close out a game when you have you have Curry, and you could on Chris Bosh, yeah, but you don't because you have Wade and LeBron. You don't count on Klay Thompson to do it when you have KD and Curry.
I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because the fact that when stars get to Golden State, they're still stars and they're still effective. The way that Kevin Durant comes over into that system and still gets to be Jake the Snake and be the 7-foot guard that he is, just shows that Kerr had more talented rosters and a better oiled machine than Spoelstra had with LeBron and company, which is where this all started.
So let's just look at this, right?
What?
So yeah, I mean, look, statistically, besides the first few years, and post LeBron as well, about the same numbers, Chris Bosh was still Chris Bosh. He was just better defensive Chris Bosh. And even then, actually, no, he was kind of worse defensive Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was still Chris Bosh. It doesn't change anything. So
but
that entire point doesn't make sense.
Did the exact same thing not happen with Kevin Love and Chris Bosh, where they were alone on a team that couldn't win, and they were the star, and they didn't get nowhere ever, but they were a talented guy? LeBron gets a hold of him. He has a diminished role where
you can say the same thing about Kevin Durant then.
No, because I just said why that's not the same.
Look, Chris Bosh came over. It still was Chris Bosh. The difference with Kevin Love was...
Are we going to pretend that I didn't just say the thing about Kevin Durant 5 minutes ago? That he came over to Golden State and was able to stand up and play the way that he plays because they had a better system over there?
And I just proved to you that Chris Bosh did the same thing. He still was able to play the same exact way. That's my point. Kevin Love was...
Because you just kind of looked at your screen and then said you were right.
I don't know if that's enough. Up Bosh career stats.
We should move on. Who you guys got for your player of the week? We spent a lot of time on this.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. Nice shot from the wing.
4-0. Had a 40-piece on 70% field goal. Averaging 35 and 8. Yeah, no, I mean...
Suns are on a 7-game win streak. I agree.
Yeah.
Booker's looking good.
I didn't even know they're on a 7-game win streak. I know they're 4-0, though. And he just got off an injury. So this is post-injury.
They're hot.
Who's doing better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except Halliburton, and we just voted Halliburton last week, so we're not doing that twice.
Yeah.
And so the Pacers lost 2 games this week?
Yeah. Now I'm kind of convinced on Booker. Coming into this, though, I had Jalen Brunson, actually. Knicks were 3-1, 2 back-to-back 30-plus point games. He's really shown up for them this past week. Good week out of him. The team needed it. The Knicks are still one of those weird teams that I don't know what to make out of them. But one thing I do know is Jalen Brunson is for real. And this dude is a all-star level caliber point guard that can win in the playoffs. I
hope they can win in the playoffs.
Yeah. You can win with Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. The
Knicks need Jalen Brunson to be Jalen Brunson.
I didn't always fully buy into that just because I'm not a big fan of the small guard, just because I feel like they kind of end up being a chair on defense, just the way it is. He's short, stocky, strong. He's shown improvements on the defense.
He's built like Desmond Bane almost.
Yeah. And he's really starting to just kind of take command of this Knicks team, especially this past week. So he was my pick. But Devin Booker, especially when you throw in that he's coming off the injury, I'm good if we want.
No KD.
Yeah.
Some of these games, no Beal at all.
So yeah, I'm good with Booker if that's what we want.
Yeah, no, we'll do. If Isaiah's good with Booker. The only other one you go with Booker. The only other one I saw. Let me write it down. The only other one I saw online was whatchamacallit, Paolo Banchero.
That's also a spicy pick, and I think
that was the other NBA one. They're 4-0.
Yeah, he's gonna get his flowers from us soon enough. As long as I think the Magic are young in the same way that the Pacers are young, but they seem just a little bit more ready to be this good. And I
they
definitely
keep it
see
up.
I see Paolo getting his flowers in the future, especially since we already threw Halliburton one.
That was last week.
We can let Paolo slide, give it to Devin Booker, because we don't know how with the Suns being so good, they have to be amazing to be impressive, if that makes sense. So it's harder for them to stand out the way that, Paolo's leading a bad team to really good numbers. So, we'll circle back to him.
Yeah. And the fact that they have none of their big threes still, and they're still playing so well because of Booker playing point guard.
That
He's
mentality.
playing PG. That's crazy.
Are you a different animal in the same beast? He is.
All right, let's get to trivia, Isaiah.
Okay, beautiful. I wish I had music. I'm not that prepared. Okay, so for everybody watching, I'm so excited to do this. The two guys here, my co-hosts, are going to choose a number between 1 and 10, and whoever's closer gets to choose who goes first.
Number 2.
Alrighty, Josh.
3.
It was 5. Josh, you get to go first. So what's going to happen is Josh is going to sit in the chair. Nick he did Prices Right you, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Nick is going to take out his headphones and bounce for 2 minutes. I'm going to read Josh.
I'll have chat up. If you want to just type in private chat when they come back, it'll be the only message that pops up. So I'll see it from a distance. I'm going to go by the door.
Perfect. So we're going to have 60 seconds to answer 5 questions. If you don't know the answer, say pass, and we'll come back to it if we can. I'm going to ask each of the guys the same 5 questions. Whoever gets the most right is our winner this week. And whoever has more time left on the clock is what will settle a tie. Josh, are you ready for the 5 trivia questions I have planned today?
Yeah, let's go.
All righty. Let me go ahead and get my clock up here. All righty. So I've got you here at 60 seconds. Time starts as soon as I finish reading the first question, okay?
Okay.
Who was the first European to win the MVP award?
Jokic?
In 2007, which Sacramento King scored 20 points while recording only 1 field goal?
Say that again?
In 2007, which Sacramento King scored 20 points while only recording? Alrighty. Who is the shortest person to ever compete in the slam dunk contest?
Oh, God. Was it Webb?
Okay. Michael Jordan wore 3 numbers through his NBA career. What were they?
23, 45. Oh, God. I guess pass on that last one. I can't think of it. What the hell?
What year was the NBA founded?
I have no clue.
You want to take a guess?
I don't know. 1980, 70, 74. I have no idea.
Alrighty, and that's
terrible.
Time.
That's bad. Holy crap.
That is A-okay. Let's go ahead and get Nick back in here.
Where did you pull those from? My God.
The annals of NBA history, my friend. I don't take trivia. I take trivia serious, my guy.
Yeah, no crap.
All righty. Good run, man. Good run. These aren't necessarily easy.
No.
Alrighty, Nick, you didn't hear any of that, right?
No, I was standing over there.
Beautiful. So
and they're wired headphones. I can't go.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you the same 5 questions. You're gonna have the same 60 seconds.
Do I got to be closer than Josh? Do I have to be like spot on with the question?
It is either correct or not correct.
Okay.
So once you hear the questions, it'll make a little bit more sense.
All right.
Time starts after I read the first question. Are you ready?
Do I say like skip?
You could say, okay. If you don't know the answer, you can say pass, and I'll ask it again at the end if we still have time.
Got you. All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1. Who was the first European to win the MVP award?
Tim Duncan.
Alrighty. In 2007, which Sacramento King scored 20 points while only recording 1 field goal?
Okay. Say it again.
In 2007, which Sacramento King scored 20 points while only recording 1 field goal?
Skip.
Who is the shortest person to ever compete in the dunk contest?
Muggsy Bogues.
Michael Jordan wore 3 numbers in his time in the NBA. What numbers were they?
23, 45. Was it 13 that he wore that game? I don't remember. It was one game, right? 13 is my final one.
What year was the NBA founded?
67.
I'll take that. Buzzer beater. Alrighty.
Would I get none? I don't think I got any of them.
Hold on, man. Hold on. This is the pageantry of it all.
All right.
Alrighty, Josh, Nick, I have your answers here. Chat, if you're here participating, boy, are these not easy questions. Before I tell you your answers and the results, how do you guys feel about the trivia? Do you want to do this again?
I'm fine with it, but I'm no NBA historian, so
Yeah, I'm fine with it, but some of these questions are deep hard.
The only one that I'm really ashamed about is the first European.
I am too now.
Because I
can
said
be
the
NBA.
answer, and as soon as I said it, I was like, "You're dumb as hell."
Okay, so
the only one I'm confident in is Muggsy Bogues, and if I'm wrong, I'll kill myself.
hey,
Go ahead.
not on camera, please.
No, it's a joke.
Question number 1. Who was the first European to win the MVP award? Josh says Jokic. Nick says Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
The answer?
It's
Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk,
I
yeah.
got you 0-0. Question number 2. I had to repeat it for both of you. I think it lost some time for both of you too. In 2007, which Sacramento King scored 20 points while only recording 1 field goal? That'll be Kevin Martin. That's just a historic stat line. That's crazy. Both of you passed, so we're still at 0-0. Question number 3. Who is the shortest person to ever compete in the NBA dunk contest? Josh says Spud Webb. Nick says Muggsy Bogues. One of these is correct. We've got a leader here. Nick, get your plastic tarp out because it is Spud Webb.
Yeah.
It's Josh, 1-0.
As soon as you said the name, I was like, isn't he 5'3"?
Question number 4. Michael Jordan wore 3 numbers in the NBA. Which ones were they? Both of you got the easy ones. I was going to say name 2 of the 3, and then I was like, this is going to be too easy because they're both going to get 23 and 45. Josh passes on the 3rd one. Nick gave me a very, very close answer for the 3rd one. He says 13.
He wore it for one day, right? He wore it for one day.
It was, yeah.
Michael Jordan is a fan of numbers that follow
It's
each other.
9, wasn't it?
23, 45, and 12.
Oh.
So, yeah, Nick, unfortunately, you got it wrong, even though you did get that guess in, and you were so close, but no cigar.
Close.
Josh is still up 1. We're going into the last question here. Question 5. What year was the NBA founded?
I don't even.
Josh almost gave me 1984. Like, Bill Russell just didn't exist.
Was it 64?
Josh gives me 1974. Nick gives me 1967. The correct answer.
71.
This is pre-merger. This is the NBA that merges with the ABA. Was invented and founded in 1946.
I
This
thought we were
week's
talking
trivia-
merger.
No, just
What year
the
was merger?
NBA.
What year did they start counting the stats? That was merger. What year is that?
I'll check. I'll check.
Yeah, you better find that year. If it's 67, I'm going crazy.
It was 76 was the merger.
Dang. All right, never mind.
So Josh wins 1-0. You both took the whole 60 seconds. I'll make the questions a little bit easier next time. I like it. I hope you guys like it. I hope chat likes it.
I just feel like we got to go like 2013-ish.
Okay, for sure. For sure.
I can do 2000s. I can do 90s. But when you start talking stat lines, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do stat lines from those days.
To
I can
be
do
fair,
like the numbers one was the number one. That I really like that question. The Jordan numbers, that's a good one because like I should have known that, but I didn't. And then there's the
first
European one that should have known that.
That was your gimme. I thought both of you guys were gonna get that.
That's a gimme. I thought Dirk
I don't
as
know
soon as
if
I
you
said Tim
saw-
Duncan because I was like, I don't even think Tim Duncan's European.
We talked about this before, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. I said Jokic, and you started going on to the next question. I was just
Yeah. We caught the
and the
face
dunk
palm.
contest. That's another good one.
Yeah.
But like the
Contest was
year,
good.
the year one and the stat line one. Like I know like the tens and ups. Like I know like the 0-0-0 stat line with Tony Snell and stuff.
Yeah.
But the weird
Just
stat
out there for
lines.
cardio.
I feel like the weird stat lines only fans of the teams know. You like know your team's weird history stat
Yeah.
lines.
For sure. For sure. These are all things that you would read once and it would either stick with you forever.
We'll,
or you would
we'll roll it
totally
again.
forget
We'll
it.
roll it again. Bring us
Oh, yeah.
us from expert to
Yeah.
normal real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Hall of Fame to All Star. Just drop
Yeah.
us two real quick.
Yeah.
But I liked it. But guys, that is the show. Anything y'all want to say before we get out of here?
We appreciate everybody tuning in each
Yep.
week. We really appreciate the product that we get to present to you guys. Next week, we'll actually have a sponsor on the show. So
Yep.
expect a short amount of advertising. We appreciate the growth that you guys are here to experience with us. Keep clicking and we'll keep talking.
Yeah. Starting tomorrow, doing a 48-hour streamathon on this channel. So at nighttime, whenever the games are over and the last game ends, we'll be watching all the highlights and talking about the games live on stream, whether it's just me or whoever else is hopping on there. But yeah, if you guys get bored, want to look at some basketball content, if you're a fan of this content, then hop in on stream, say hello, and watch that as well. That'll be fun. So, but anything else?
I'm good.
All right, let's get up out of here. Peace.